An entrepreneur is a little different because they don't have a set of instructions. They don't know where they're going. They don't know where the future is going to go. They break down walls. They don't follow rules.
Follow the Leader features dynamic women entrepreneurs in their journeys to becoming a success in business. This podcast is an inspirational space for entrepreneurs, future entrepreneurs, and thought leaders as they share their keys to success. I am Chanel Christoph Davis, the CEO and founding partner of the largest woman and minority-owned sales tax advisory practice in the country, Davis & Harmon LLC. Today on Follow the Leader, we have the CEO and founder of BuzzBallz Southern Champion, Merrilee Kick. She's the only woman-owned distillery winery in the United States, located in Carrollton, Texas. BuzzBallz Southern Champion makes ready-to-drink cocktails called BuzzBallz, as well as spirits like rum, vodka, gin, and bourbon, which are sold in 45 states and 21 countries in convenience stores, liquor stores, casinos, arenas, airlines. You can find her stuff wherever you like to have your favorite cocktail. The company is family owned and operated, so we definitely need to talk about that. And a home to 100 employees in the Dallas area. So
actually 140. 140 employees now. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Welcome to Follow the Leader.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, most definitely. I have been told on several occasions that we needed to meet. I heard that you are a hoot and a holler. So I'm excited about that. I love to have a fun guest on the show. So I'm so excited that we get this time to spend with each other and get to know each other a little bit better. Yeah. So how long have you been in business?
I've been in business I started BuzzBallz about 10 years ago. I used to be a high school teacher in Plano, Texas, and I started out with the school offered me a master's degree program. It was a teacher enrichment program, and they said, if you wanted to go out and get your master's degree, you could, but it had to be in administration or something like that. And I said, I don't want that. I want it to be in business, which is what my field is. So that's what I teach. And so they made an allowance for me to go get my master's degree in business. And they paid half of it, and I paid half of it. Got my master's degree, and BuzzBallz was my master's degree thesis project. So right when when I was like 2 or 3 years into this thing after starting it, it was like, what do I want to do a project on? And I was grading papers by the pool. And I'm going, okay, I'm having a cocktail like I did every night. And I was going, well, I shouldn't have this glass container out here by the pool. It's dangerous. I should have a plastic container if the world was perfect, right?
Right.
And so I had this round votive candle out there with me. And I thought, wow, it'd be cool to make a little party ball. And so I came up with this concept of a party in a ball, a booze ball, a buzz ball, and so the name BuzzBallz kind of stuck. And I created the brand based on, like, if you could buy a ready to drink cocktail in the favorite flavor that you wanted, and you could mix and match it, you didn't have to buy a 6-pack or a 12-pack of the same stuff. You could get a pina colada, a strawberry daiquiri, a margarita, and you could just get a whole bunch of different colors of balls, and so that's kind of where the idea came up. And so that was the thing to get started. But I had to figure out how to get the equipment, how to create the permits and get a warehouse, how to make the formulas, get label approvals, get employees, build all the specs for the equipment to the product, and make it work. And it was like, I know you asked me like how many steps or what did you do to get it started, but it was like 800 steps. So it's a long process.
And I mean, you were just supposed to be doing a school project, so.
Well, at that time, yeah. Okay, so I came up with the concept and a rough draft of a P&L, balance sheet, et cetera, cash flow. But it was more of a sketch. It was an overview. It's like a business plan that you would give to a bank, but it wasn't in detail yet because you haven't actually done it. yet.
Right, exactly. There's no
So
proof of concept yet.
yeah, so the proof of concept was actually putting it in motion once I had some funding. I went to every single bank in town and asked for a loan. I played the woman card. That didn't help me. I tried that, oh, I'm a minority, I'm a woman, that didn't work for me. Everybody just said, no, we don't fund early stage businesses. Even my own bank that I was with at the time told me no, they wouldn't give me a loan. So about the time I was about ready to give up and thinking that there's no way I'm going to get funding on this, a little tiny community bank in Richardson called me and said, hey, about 6 months ago, you came and you asked for a loan. Did anybody get back to you? We've had some turnover and stuff, and we just want to know if anybody got back to you. And I said, no, nobody got back to me. So this was about 6 months after I had asked for these requests, and I was running out of money to pay for this warehouse and pay for this dream that I had. They came out and they met with me, and they gave me the idea of that. They wanted to see how my equipment set up on the floor. How would it look? I took photos of equipment. I went and visited other warehouses, other production plants, took photos of their equipment, took photos of equipment online. I taped off the floor in my warehouse and I said, okay, this is how it's going to go. This is where this equipment would sit. This is what it would do. And this is what it would make. And I showed them a little round buzzball and showed them the end result. And I told them how much money that I needed. I told them I needed $300,000. And they ended up funding me with an SBA loan of $178,500. And I said, well, that's short of the $300,000 that I need to kick it off. And they said, yeah, but you can take out a loan against your house, a home equity line of credit. And you can pledge anything of cash that you have. You said you had about 25,000 of all sources in your banks, all accounts, all inclusive. So adding all those things up, it was like, okay, now I have $300,000, but I can't really take out a HELOC against my house, can I? So I had to go get permission to do that, and got the business up and rolling, got my first sale. And my first check was something like $78,000 for my first order. And I was just so excited because I was like, holy shit, this is more than I make in a whole year being a teacher.
That's incredible. That's incredible.
One check. And so we worked our butts off, and it was me and my sons, my two sons and their friends, and they were still in high school, and I'm paying them with beer, and I'm just I'm like sleeping on the floor and, at the warehouse, and I'm, trying to put this all together. And, we learned a lot, made a lot of mistakes and learned a lot.
You guys, it was a big beginning. But I do want to put a pin in that said. We're in the midst of COVID-19, the national pandemic. And one thing that you said in your story, I have to stop and put a pin and highlight. Let's give it up for community banks right now.
Yes.
I'm having a moment in the sunshine. You guys, who knew? I've been in business 19 years. I had no idea. So for everyone who's on this podcast that's a banker, a community banker, hats off to you guys. You guys are doing the yeoman's work. You are doing the hard work. We needed you guys. And in a crisis, you stepped up and you showed up for us. Thank you. So I just had to say that.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point to make. And a lot of my friends that have community bankers that for their business, they were the ones that were first funded with the PPP program. They all got theirs, and everybody that was with Chase Bank or the big banks, they didn't get anything because they were too slow.
Well, I wasn't going to drop names, but you did. So we're going to leave it in there, okay? But we are going to say thanks to the community banks. This has been an education. And that's one thing that's awesome about entrepreneurship. You never stop learning. Every day is a learning lesson. And if you are a creative, if you're a person that thrives on learning in academia, entrepreneurship is absolutely going to be a lifelong lesson. You're going to learn something new every single day.
There's something to be said about that too. A lot of people will ask me, women's groups and things like that. I want to own my own business, they say. A woman will say she wants to own her own business and she wants to still try to figure out what she's good at. Like maybe she does hair, or maybe she makes crafts, or maybe she's really good at finance, or maybe, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And I try to tell them there's a big difference between business ownership and being an entrepreneur.
Mm.
An entrepreneur will do things differently than a business owner in general.
Now, why do you say that?
You could be a business owner and own a Jiffy Lube or a Chipotle, or be a realtor or something like that. And you follow a set of instructions from A to Z, you repeat, and then you keep going and you just build on that with quantity. So that's the difference. And an entrepreneur is a little different because they don't have a set of instructions. They don't know where they're going. They don't know where the future is going to go. They break down walls. They don't follow rules. They go in it, under it, around it, and they find a way to get things done so that they can make money that way. But they have a different set of freedoms. And I think business owners in general get to go home at 6 at night, and entrepreneurs never get to sleep.
Never, ever take a day off. I mean,
no.
Even when I'm on the weekend, I'm working.
Me too. Same with vacation too. It's like, they're like, you really need some, what do they call it? Work-life balance.
Yeah. What do they call it? What's that word? Work-life balance? Well,
yeah.
I think for me, one thing that I picked up on and being an entrepreneur, I'm just naturally a creative person. I paint. I'm an artist as well as an accountant. So I have definitely the left brain, right brain thing going. But even if I'm supposed to be off, if I declare and I could send a note to my entire team, I'm off today, I'm on vacation, I'm at home innovating. I'm at home thinking. I'm working through processes in my mind. I'm jotting down notes. Literally, I send notes to my team 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. I know they're like, why is she up sending me? But, if it's something in my mind, I have to get it out and then I can rest. But I'm constantly innovating. My wheels are constantly, and I thrive in that. That makes me excited. So that's a good point. If that's not who you are, if you like and value solitude and quiet and turning your brain off, entrepreneurship is going to be a tough road, man, because there's just always so many. You're dealing with human resources. You're dealing with capital resources. You're dealing with fixed asset resources. You're dealing with so many different resources that's moving around, so many pieces of the puzzle that you have constantly have to be on and available to make decisions and to carry them out.
And another point I wanted to make on that too is, as the employees that you hire, some of them will be hunters and some will be farmers. And the hunters are more like entrepreneurs. They're going to be the ones that go out there and seek and find opportunities and jump through hoops and make it happen. And then the farmers are ones that will take the instructions and go execute those things. And they'll do it season after season.
Yes.
But I think, some of the struggles that I've had with employees in the past is just exactly that, the difference between hunters and farmers. I wanted a hunter, but I bought a farmer, so, it's something to definitely note.
Yeah, definitely. You need both to make an organization run. You can't have all hunters, or that's going to be a complete disaster. You definitely need both hunters and farmers. And one of the things that we've done as an organization is we do kind of, I wouldn't call it a personality test. It's really to understand what drives or what motivates individuals.
What test do you use?
It's called the DISC-2. And I will send you the information. And it's actually the guy who wrote the initial DISC, the very first DISC test. This is his company. And so anyone, if depending on the position, or every position that comes through our company, has to go through this DISC assessment. And it just tells me, okay, this is what I need. And actually, I had everyone in my company take it again right before the pandemic. And it helped me to figure out how to manage them working from home. We never worked from home before. We've had employees that
work very well from home, and then we also have some that just don't You know,
Exactly.
they just screw around. You know, they don't know how to work from home. And so we've had to bring some of them back, you know, so and put them in an office so that they will work.
Yeah.
But we've had different ones we've used. Used a quick and easy free one called 16 Personalities.
Okay.
And that one's really fun. 16 Personalities. And then there's one called Cantor with a K, Cantor. And then the Predictive Index is also another one.
Predictive Index, yes.
Yeah. So I think all of them are good. And, you know, when you read it, and especially when you read your own, you go, oh, yeah, that's me. I'm great, you know, and you read it and you go, yeah, that's who I am. And I stand by it, you know, and then you read somebody else's and go, yeah, that's why you are the way you are.
I mean, I think some of it is, you know, your one way that you present yourself to the world. And then there's a different person when stress hits. You change. And how do you change in the stress? So there's like an internal person, an external person, and there's a stress person. So there's 3 different types of ways you're going to react and depending on the circumstance. So you kind of have to, again, that's that human resource piece. You have to be able to manage your human resources and know who's on your team. I'm very fortunate. My team is amazing. It's rock solid. I mean, if we had gone through a pandemic 5 years ago, it would have been a disaster. Okay.
Oh, wow.
We had a totally different team, but this team has completely shown up and made me proud. So I'm very, very blessed right now.
I think that says a lot to your team too. And it says a lot to you and your leadership. You know, we had to pivot. That was one of the things we talked about, you and I, about what changed after COVID, you know.
Yeah,
I mean,
talk about that. So we're here. We're at the COVID part of the podcast. I try to like let it wait a little bit, but hey, we're here. So what has changed? Tell me.
You know, we normally have marketing events, you know, golf tournaments, you know, yada, 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 all these events, taste this product. But, you know, when everything shut down, it was like, well, what can we do? And the Alcohol, Tobacco Tax and Trade Bureau said, you're allowed to make hand sanitizer. So we did. And we spent about $500,000 on making hand sanitizer and donating that to the community. So first responders, fire departments, police departments, post office, the military, the Coast Guard, all the hospitals, all the senior centers, you know, so we just started FedExing that stuff all over.
Wow.
And, we still have a little bit left, but, you know, oh my gosh, you know, just to the airlines, we sent it to Southwest, American Airlines, Spirit Airlines, you know, for all
you sent it to grocery stores too, right?
No, well, I mean, we sent it to the grocery stores for their clerks and their cashiers, but not for sale.
To protect the frontline people who are taking care of us.
Right. And to every single one of my distributors from the liquor side as well. We just shipped all this stuff. So the whole thing was pretty expensive for us to do. But what we did was we offset our marketing budget of what we were going to spend for marketing events to this. And we cut down on T&E because we aren't traveling anywhere. So
wow. Well,
so we just swapped it.
Bravo to you, and thank you for stepping up in that way.
Well, you're very welcome. And I think everybody stepped up.
That's it. I mean, being innovative, you know, you knew you were going to have, no one's traveling for 2020. It's a wrap. It's done. Like I don't see where we're going to be having huge conferences this year. I just don't see it. Maybe it'll happen, but I mean, huge gatherings of 7,000 people to do a conference right now. Oh, so you knew you were going to have that budget sitting out there, and you took that opportunity to spin it, and look what you did. I think that's incredible.
And maybe I'll get lucky, and Southwest Airlines will contact us and say, okay, well, because you gave us 5 pallets of sanitizer, we're going to let you talk to the person that does in-flight BuzzBallz, you know, and maybe someday they'll carry our BuzzBallz on a plane.
Brilliant. Listen, while folks are wondering about tomorrow, you kicked into action. So that was brilliant, Merrilee. I mean, I'm writing that down. Listen, that was really good. No, it's smart. Now I saw the bottles. I saw the way you branded them. Brilliant. I mean,
very simple.
You turned a very bad situation around. You have to figure out how to allocate those dollars and what way then to get them in front of your ideal clientele.
Right.
Makes so much sense. I mean, you just wrap up a bunch of BuzzBallz and send them to people. They'll be like, is she crazy? I'm like, You know what I mean? But this was
it was something they want, right?
Something they need desperately. No, this was brilliant. And I wanted to talk to you about the actual BuzzBallz because they are iconic. I'm imagining that you had to get that, patented in some kind of way because they are brilliant. Okay, I've had them. They're delicious, but they're visually stunning as well. So who came up with the creative and design? And tell me about that process. I love this type of stuff.
That was me. Remember when I was sitting by the pool and had that round votive candle? It was a little snowball type of thing from Sweden when I lived there. I used to live I lived overseas before I came back. And so I lived in Johannesburg, South Africa for about 5 years and then lived in Stockholm, Sweden for about 5 years.
Oh, wow. And, that's two different polar.
Yeah, okay. Totally different worlds. And then when I was back in Dallas, I had that little round votive candle and I thought, oh, this would be so cool to make a little party ball. But the whole concept of how to make it was different. And I couldn't figure out how to get a sippy cup lid, if you think of children and their sippy cup, snap top lids on a plastic container. And I thought, well, if I did that, it wouldn't be child resistant. It wouldn't be tamper evident, all those things. It just wouldn't work. And it would look like a kid's drink, so I didn't want that. But then I saw a tennis ball container, one of those long cylinder tubes. It has a metal lid on a plastic container.
Sure does.
And I thought, well, if they can do it on that, then I can do it on this drink. And so I cut open the lid and I figured out how to do it. And I designed it and I looked online to find how to put a metal lid on a plastic can. And so I was the first one in America with a metal lid on a plastic can, and came out with that in a container. And the reason I wanted a sphere shape, a round ball, was because of the name, party ball, BuzzBall. I wanted something round so that people would remember the name because marketing's my skill, So I wanted them to remember BuzzBall because I thought that's a good name.
Yes.
And I wanted to make sure that the sphere held enough pressure, pounds per square inch, on every sidewall of the interior of that container, including the roof and the lid and the base. Because if I put any carbonation in there, it would explode if I didn't have the right kind of walls thickness and so on. And because it's plastic, I had to make sure that it didn't breathe because I didn't want air to spoil the product inside. And I wanted to also make sure that sunlight and the UV rays, if it sat in a window in a store or got a lot of light put on it, that it wouldn't also degrade the product on the inside. Yeah, because they may not refrigerate it. So, what would happen to it? So I had to do a lot of scientific testing.
Did you get in engineering as well, too? Sounds like.
Yeah, I've got a degree in engineering, too. So put all that together and designed the container and figured out the pounds per square inch, tested it with carbonation, tested the oxygen traveling through the plastic container, tested the petalloid base and the strength of that, and if I could freeze it or not, would they float or not, and just did all these cool things with it, just testing it out when I first started. But it was interesting because I went to a plant in Louisville called Bartouche Schnitzius Foods. And when I was getting my master's degree, I talked to the little old man that was running that. He was a plant manager, a little crotchety old guy, and smoked heavily. And, I went into his plant and it was spotless. And he had all kinds of fillers and seamers and, he made ice creams and salsas and had an R&D lab, pallet racks, pallet jacks, tanks, all these things that I'd never actually seen before, but I took photos of. And I was like I showed him my little BuzzBall prototype and I said, have you ever seen anything like this? He said, no, I've never seen anything like it. I'm like, I need to have some machinery that will fill this and put the lid on, and I need help finding that. And he goes, well, I've been in this business for 60 years, never seen anything like that. And I thought, well, I'm going to have to make that. So I had to go out and create custom machinery that would work on that container. It took me a little while, but I didn't have much time because I didn't have enough money to keep paying rent, and not producing anything. Yeah, I needed some sales. So that's basically how it all started. It was really scary. And you know what? After about 6 months, after my first sale, after I finally got that first sale and finally net 15 got that first check, I thought, yay, you know, I'm going to be able to expand into 3 different states and everything's going to be great. No, it wasn't. I had to go out and personally sell it then. You know, I had to go sell it because my distributor wasn't doing it. They weren't selling it. I had to go out and door-to-door salesman this, sell it from my trunk, and then go back to my distributor and say, hey, okay, now I've got all these 20 accounts that I went to today. I need your rep to follow up with this and get the reorders, and I'll pay them to get the reorders for it. And you guys can, and, you know, basically I've done the legwork for you. So I did that. And then I figured out from technology that I could download every single retailer in the Texas Alcoholic Beverage Commission code. They have them all listed as public record. So I downloaded every single account and their address and created a mail merge and sent a letter out to every single retailer in Texas, every convenience store, every grocery store, every liquor store. So on the weekends, I was sitting there stuffing envelopes into, you know, and sending all this stuff out. And then all of a sudden my distributor was overwhelmed with all these requests for BuzzBallz. They're like, what is this stuff? You know, have you ever heard of it before? And the reps were like going, oh my God, I don't know, you know, I'll check, you know, and then they found me that, yeah, they were carrying that product. They just never pitched it before. Crazy. So, I mean, that's kind of one way to get it started. And, you know.
Do you ever have to do a road show and like demo your product in different stores and meet and greet and shake hands and
tastings, you know, and believe me, all those tastings I had to do, I mean, I would drive out to like Azle and like places that I've never been to before, you know, it's like so far away, and I'd get out there and do a tasting, and then some weird guy would come up and start talking to me about his balls and, you know, and stuff like that.
Yeah, of course.
I take it with a grain of salt, you know.
Heard all the jokes you got.
All the ball jokes, you know, and it was pretty funny, but, you know, I mean, there comes a limit as to how much I can put up with. But but one of the big things that helped us was going to a trade show. About 2 years into the business, my, you know, I was thinking, I need more cash flow. I'm not going to break even if I don't get more sales. You know, I'm doing okay, but I can't afford to pay myself yet, and I can't afford to grow. So I needed to like have a higher amount of sales. So I went to this broker and I asked him what I was doing wrong and if he could help me. And he said, well, I don't see you're doing anything wrong. I think everything's great. He goes, are you going to WSWA? And I wrote that down and I'm like, I don't know what WSWA is.
Never heard of it.
That's the Wine and Spirits Wholesalers of America. It's a big trade show every year that we go to. It's either in Vegas or it's in Florida, and it alternates every other year. You guys should look into going. And so I looked into it, and this was like in April, and WSWA was in May, and they had one little 10 by 10 booth spot available on their floor. I took it. It was $2,000. It's all I could do to scrape up that $2,000.
You're like, this is it. I got to do this.
Yeah. And I didn't have any trade show materials or anything. I just printed up some sales sheets and some samples. And we were staying at Caesar's Palace. My son and I drove there because we didn't have the money to fly there. Wow. And so I looked like the freaking Beverly Hillbillies with crap all in my Yes, and everybody's there with all their big fanciness, you know, and all their big fancy, you know, trade show stuff. And here's me with a banner that I made lickety split, you know, and slapped it on the back and put up some slides, you know, that I had nothing, you know. We even stole ice in our own ice bucket from the hotel floor to bring it down. It was like $20 a bag.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
it's ridiculous. Yes. I mean, but look at you now.
Yeah.
Look at you now.
It was funny. But you know what was so cool was we entered into this, into the trade show. They had a taste test competition. And so my son and I entered into that. We set up the paperwork to enter into it. And lo and behold, we won the top prize, a double gold, which was all 50 judges in a blind taste test. They didn't know the name of the product or anything. they named us #1 for our margarita.
Wow.
So here in this Caesar's Palace big trophy case is like Tito's and Gallo wines and all this stuff. And then a tiny, tiny little BuzzBallz sitting there on the shelf as a double gold. I screamed.
That's amazing.
Looking at me, and I was screaming. I was so excited. I was taking a million photos, sending it back home to my whole 15 employees, and we were just so proud, so excited.
That was literally your confirmation that I'm heading in the right direction.
Yeah, maybe we're going to make it. Oh, so the next best part, so that was one huge thing, was to win that little award. I couldn't believe it. And then the next thing was the very next day, I had 15 new state distributors come to me over the course of those 2 days saying, we want to represent your brand in Kentucky or in Tennessee or in New York or in Arizona. And that was the first time I thought, okay, even if I got X number of cases sold in each state, I would be able to make it. So my son and I, we went out to dinner to celebrate that night. And, we're just beat. We're so tired, working our butts off at this trade show. So we go to the Bellagio in our jeans and in our BuzzBallz shirts and stuff. And we get over there, and it had a little maitre d' at the beginning of the restaurant. And I wanted a really nice bottle of wine and a steak. And she goes, would you like to look at the menu and check the prices first?
Oh.
I laughed so hard. I'm like, nope, we're going in.
Wow, we're celebrating. We don't need you.
Yeah, we're celebrating. We had a nice bottle of wine, and
awesome. And what I love about that is that you had that experience with your son, so you guys are going to have that memory forever. He knows where you came from. He knows the whole story.
Yeah. My kids are still involved in the business. They both help me run it. And my husband actually is in the business. He's our CFO. My daughter-in-law helps with shipping. Just so everybody's helping out.
Like? I want to know, to have the whole family working.
We don't really see each other that much, even though we're in the same business. We've got a few doors down from each other, but we're all so busy that we're just all doing our own things. And like my youngest one is in charge of sales in California, our biggest market. Okay. My other one is the president of the company, who kind of works more on the operations side and equipment, new lines, all that kind of stuff set up. I work on more the overall scheme of the business and where we're going, R&D and sales.
Yes.
Yeah, marketing. And then my husband's CFO. So he's got like accounting and finance. Facilities. So, we're all just all over the place. So,
okay, I have to say that my preference is the gorgeous orb. I love the orb. I think it's so cool. I can imagine floating in a pool with my drink floating next to me. It's so cool. And it's iconic. You see them in the stores. You know exactly what it is. But now you're doing a pop top can. That must have been child's play for you. You're like, we could do that in our sleep.
Well, what's funny is we came out with the Biggie ball first. Have you seen that?
Yeah, the screw top.
Yeah, and it's huge. Yeah. It's like a big bowling ball. And
I haven't seen those. I bet you those are cool.
They're really cool. They're like huge balls.
Do you pour it like?
No. It's like a bowling ball size. And, and this is kind of like too sexy for this podcast, but we were going to put finger holes like you do on a bowling ball.
Uh-huh.
We were going to write.
Yes, you can kind of have a grip to it.
Yeah, we were going to write "finger me" right next to it, but we decided.
That's okay. Here we go. This is the Merrilee I was looking for. She's here. She's here.
That's bad. That's really bad.
Wow. Yeah. So.
So you see the biggies there. You can see them, and the BuzzBallz that were brought out. We created those because some of the chain accounts, the Krogers, the Albertsons, some of those were saying, the BuzzBallz are round, they're small, people could steal them. We're not sure if we can merchandise these on the shelf and stuff like that. And what was really happening was their own employees were going on break and drinking them in the back room, in the bathroom, and they'd find them in the bathroom. Well, and so that was one thing. So we said, well, we'll make you a tall, skinny can that merchandises on the shelf, and you can make it a 4-pack, or you can do it on the shelf as it stands, however you want to do it. So we created that that container as well, but we make everything. You know, we're vertically integrated. We make the plastic containers, we ink it, we sleeve it, we produce it, we batch it. We do all that stuff in-house, so we don't have to rely on anybody else.
So you have literally learned from start to finish how to do it all. I think that's incredible. That's absolutely incredible. And like you said in your bio, you are the only woman-owned distillery winery in the United States. So what has that been like for you?
You know, I haven't really paid much attention to that. It's a fact, but it's not something that I really, it doesn't buy me anything, really. Right. I mean, it's a very male-dominated industry, and if I walk into a meeting and go, hey guys, I'm a woman-owned distillery winery, they're like, so?
Yeah. I mean, but it does speak to just your tenacity. It does say something.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, it's nice to know that I am that, but I don't think that defines anything about me, because even if I wasn't, I'd still be doing the same thing. And, you know, I'm still going to be the funny person and the one that jokes around with them. And, you know, I don't take myself too seriously.
So you have to share, since we know that we are all dealing with this ongoing pandemic. We're right in the midst of this crisis. Please share with us, how do you take care of yourself? What's your tips for, you know, entrepreneurs, future entrepreneurs, for how to focus on self-care and getting through a crisis?
It's so funny. There, you know, I mean, we're doing a lot of things because we are a manufacturing factory. So in terms of, you know, what am I doing here at work? You know, we're sanitizing, we're cleaning, everybody's wearing masks, everybody's wearing gloves. We've changed Bob the cook to, you know, he used to make lunch for everybody and everybody sat in the same cafeteria and ate. Now he makes to-go lunches. So we all, you know, take Bob's food and eat it on the go. But in terms of personal at home, you know, I, you know, do the same things, all the hand washing, all the don't touch your face. And one good thing that I'm doing is I'm not sleeping with my husband. I make him sleep in a separate room because of COVID. And
that's hilarious. You are so funny.
I'm milking it as long as possible.
You are so crazy. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So, you know, I mean, I'm doing all those things. And, you know, one other thing that my mother taught me that I thought was kind of interesting. She said, always drink lots of water and drink water before bed, take Tylenol, you know, those kinds of things. But she said, take a Q-tip and dip it in some alcohol and swab the inside membranes of your nose. Don't like snort the alcohol or anything, but just wipe the inside of your nostrils with this alcohol, because the COVID lives in your membranes, right?
Wow.
And so not just wash your hands, wash your face, wash your eyes, but then get inside your nose.
Right. And I know they also have like nasal, you know, you can actually like flush it out and kind of keep everything free flowing. I have been definitely, for self-care for myself, exercising more than I ever have in my entire life. I'm resting better at night. I can sleep soundly at night. It just helps me. It helps me relax in an odd way. You would think that it would hype you up, but it actually helps me to be able to turn down at night. So that's
when you sleep, you said you wake up at 3 a.m. and start writing things down. Do you still do that?
I haven't during the pandemic. I've been sleeping. I have been sleeping straight through the night because I work out. Like I've been literally, I might get out and ride my bike for about 45 minutes in the middle of the day. So I'm exhausted at night. Like I sleep sound.
That's good.
So that's something I may have to keep up after this is over, because it has literally changed my life. It's changed everything.
Yeah, I get up and fall into my coffee cup, and then when I get home, I fall into my wine glass, and then I binge on something on TV, usually Netflix, find something interesting.
Well, that's your version of self-care, okay? We're going to do some wine, we're going to do some TV. Everybody needs those times where you just kind of veg out and just turn things off, right? So you're still going to the office.
Yeah, I'm at the office right now.
Essential.
Yeah, we're essential. Booze is essential. It's always essential.
It's always essential. Absolutely.
Good times and bad.
Yes, good times and bad. We need our booze. So thank God for that.
Yes.
No, seriously. But thank you, Merrilee. This has been phenomenal. I think, again, your story is going to inspire so many. And thank you so much for stepping up and producing hand sanitizer for our frontline workers. I mean, that's incredible. And I love the branding, and the bottle is so cute. It's going to be like a keepsake now. It's vintage, right? You can keep that.
Yeah.
You can tell our grandkids, you don't know what happened. Look at this bottle of sanitizer. So
right. Yeah, when I tell future generations that some of our marketing swag is like BuzzBallz.
You have face mask. We have to send you one. You've got to send me one. I want one. Right. That's so cool. Yeah. Yes, that's going to be a part of your archive. You're like, yeah, we survived the pandemic, you know.
Yeah, we've got some tours coming up this fall, so it'll be nice. I'll invite you to that.
Oh, cool. Cool. Yeah, because we're neighbors, so we need to see each other's operations and see where you are.
Right. Thanks, Janelle. Thanks, LaShante.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. All right, bye.
You can find all of our past episodes on iTunes, Spotify, and Google, or any of your other favorite podcast platforms. Be sure to subscribe to the show, rate, and leave us a review. Let us know how we're doing. Thank you for listening.